Hi, this is Nathan from Leader of the Pack. In my experience counseling couples, there are two issues that keep coming back. One is communication, and the other is conflict resolution. The truth is, they are so intertwined and reliant on each other that if we could learn how to communicate, we would learn how to resolve our conflicts. We are no longer living in a generation that we are limited by our modes of communication. We are no longer limited in the way that we can communicate. We have been gifted in this generation with so many ways to send a message to another person that it is almost limitless. Very often in my counseling, I hear the following. Nathan, I've been expressing the following thing to my wife or to my husband over and over again, even for days, weeks, months, even years. And it always turns into a fight. It always turns into an argument. They always misunderstand me. Does that resonate with anyone? Do you ever get misunderstood? Do you ever try and say the same thing over and over again and they just don't get it? Well, let me give you a fundamental, simple, but massively life-changing tip. Try different modes of communication. Very often, sitting face to face is the most, for lack of a better word, in your face type of communication. You literally are in another person's space. Let me take a little sidestep and come back to that so that we understand it on a deeper level. One of the gifts that Sigmund Freud gave to the world was that he understood that his presence as a therapist in the room made a difference to the journey that his, what he called patient or client, was on. Before then, the therapist believed that they were separate to the client, to the patient that was sitting there, and they would help them go on a journey that had nothing to do with them. Freud recognized that his being in the room, just by being there, affected the journey of a client that was not his family, that was not his spouse, that was not his child. Even more so, when we are sitting in the presence of our spouse, do we and our presence affect their journey? Our facial expressions, our way we are sitting, the tone of our voice, even what we are wearing, and maybe even how we smell affects the journey of that person. So, sitting face to face in an intimate interaction can be wonderful. It can be powerful. It can even be uplifting. But sometimes it's actually the wrong way to communicate. Sometimes, if that means you're hitting your head against a brick wall and not getting through to that person and always getting the same wall up or aggressive reaction or reaction that is not going to help the process, change your mode of communication. Perhaps send them a message. WhatsApp, SMS, Facebook. Do I need to go on? Perhaps you take out a pen and paper and write them a letter. That type of communication has its faults as well. For example, it could be misunderstood, a word that you use. If you write them a letter and give it to them, they could sit there and say, what do they mean by happy? I don't want to be happy. What do they mean by sad? I'm never sad. And it doesn't give us the ability to say, no, I'm sorry, sweetheart, what I meant was. But at the same time, it also gives that person the space to process over what you are trying to say to them, what you are trying to express to them without your presence stopping their own journey and their own process. In fact, today I was working with a group of children that are worried about their parents, and their parents are putting up a brick wall and not wanting to hear what these children have to say to their growing parents, to their aging parents. I suggested write them a letter and then let them receive the letter. Let them process through the letter. In the letter, say, if you think anything is misunderstood, if you don't understand what we're saying, if you have any questions, please let us know. But it allows them, without the in your face of their children being there, to sit back, read through that letter, process for themselves, and create their own reaction and even answers to that letter. I strongly suggest to you, if you are banging your head against a brick wall and not getting through to your spouse, or as I said before, getting a negative reaction, try a different mode of communication. Perhaps it is not the issue itself that is the problem, but the way that you are approaching it.